Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies, a podcast about people sharing extraordinary stories about how music has impacted their lives.
Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies. I'm your host, Annette Smith. Today, we have a special guest, singer-songwriter. I love that you say that you walk your own path, right? And your music is a combination of a 90s alternative rock and progressive rock of the 70s, which is a great description. And even your artwork is really a great description of that as well, your album artwork, which is...
My wife does awesome artwork. And I'm kind of about, like, she comes up with the themes, and I'm just like, yeah, all right. Done.
Yeah,
like,
it's really cool. It's really cool. So obviously you've created your own distinctive sound, and I appreciate it. And I loved going through your playlist and listening to your music. So please help me welcome Sean to Music Junkies today. And you have your really cool background on, and I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just my room isn't very aesthetically pleasing. So
that's okay. So before we get started, what was your experience putting your playlist together for me today?
It was, as time has gone by, I've realized I've left some stuff off, but that's pretty all right. They were the first things I thought of, and I actually took almost no time getting that list together, because I listened to a few episodes. I was like, oh, okay, I see where we can go with this. And I figured I'd rather be manic and insane than like, well, yes, the reason I chose Home by Dream Theater is because it's 12 minutes long and I like the odd time. Like, I didn't want to do any of that crap. So
I'm so glad.
For the record, Home by Dream Theater is an awesome tune. It's just not on my list.
Yeah, we don't need to listen to half a 12-minute song either, right? So I am going to open it up with your first song, and this will be my first, so I'm excited.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows and what's on?
Good old Kermit the Frog.
I love that song so much. And I also love how the latency on the video is going to be like completely off with me bobbing along. But that's all right. That's okay. Let's turn the page. That's probably one of my earliest memory songs. I mean, I grew up, like, my father had awesome taste in music. Still does, actually. I can't say had. And my mom and her mother were piano players. So there's always music going on in the house. My father turned me on to film scores, which is still my favorite music to this day, classical music. But then there were these albums called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Hot Rocks Volume 1 from the Stones. And those were the albums I remember hearing most. But then along came a movie I was allowed to watch with the Muppets. And just this song has just always been so damn beautiful to me. It's just perfect. And for a while there, every time I heard it, I'd be like, man, I really love that song. It's so goddamn beautiful, because it's just perfect. It's beautiful. And it's just, what a good way to, like, even think about living your own life.
I agree. So what was it like growing up in your household?
Well, I can't say that I've fully grown up, so I don't know. But like I said, I was surrounded by music. My mother was a great piano player. Her mother was a great piano player. My brother and I started playing music at a really young age. Both on piano. And then a couple years into that, my brother switched over to guitar. And a couple years after that, he wanted to play the drums. And my parents were like, wait, you just keep switching instruments. How about, do your best at this and we'll see as time goes by. So my brother pretty much got to the point where he just mastered the guitar. And then one day we had a drum kit. And I just stuck to piano for a long time and then moved on to guitar. But I was always surrounded either by music, being played by my father on the stereo, or my mother or grandmother playing the piano, or me playing the piano, or my brother playing some kind of instrument, or just discovering, movie scores on my own, or like listening to the Star Wars record ad nauseum. Anything like James Horner, or John Williams, or Jerry Goldsmith, I always had on a constant rotation. So I'm a big fat nerd. I'm a little skinny nerd, but yeah.
What was your first song you learned on the guitar?
The first song I learned on the guitar, holy crap. I mean, you'd think I would know something like that. It started with the D chord. I'm definitely gonna say it started with the D chord,
Okay.
but that's after that. Maybe it was Knocking on Heaven's Door, so I'd start with the G. So it might have been Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Good song. Great song.
Good tune, yeah.
You progress from guitar to any other instrument after piano and guitar?
I dicked around on the drums for a bit because I love Dream Theater. I don't know if I mentioned that or not yet. And I worked at a rehearsal studio for a few years, and the owner there was a great drummer, still a great drummer, but he had this huge Neil Peart kit with the double kick pedal and everything. So I would always like sit on the kit and just like try to play like Dream Theater tunes, even though I'm not a drummer. And about like a few months later, because I was like just getting high and playing drums, I was able to kind of sort of play the drums. But now it's just like I'm a good table drummer, so I can use my chest and my legs, and it annoys the hell out of everybody else around me.
What was the worst song that you had to always play on the piano?
Oh God, Runaway by Bon Jovi. I'm not dissing Runaway by Bon Jovi. I'm just saying if I never, ever have to play that again, I'll be really happy. I was in an awesome Bon Jovi tribute here in Jersey for about 11 years and did some fill-ins after that. And I loved those guys like family. I loved playing the gigs we played. I loved the money we made. But that song, if I never hear it again or play it again, because honestly, you can love something a lot and then you're hearing it ad nauseum, forget it. And I've said ad nauseum 3 times, including this time. I'm done with that phrase.
Do you have a song that you wrote that you do not like to play anymore for whatever reason? Like I was working out the other day and this Pink song came on for an example. And she was like, obviously talking about her split up and, you know, how this guy's like got a whiskey dick and all of this stuff. And I thought, geez, that's a really popular song. And it has been popular for a long time. And she's now back with that guy, or they split up for a little while and they're back together. And I'm thinking, God, every time she tours, she has to sing this.
What song are you talking? Is that So What?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Wow. Good guess here. All right.
Yes.
That's a great tune. But I can
know,
understand her not wanting to play that at the moment. Why the hell are they back together? For her daughter?
I don't know. I don't know if they fully are, but I know that they broke up. Obviously, she wrote the song and then they did get back together. And it's still really popular. So I was just curious, you know, lots of artists write about, you know, love and relationships. And, you know, do you have a song out there that you're like, I'm not singing that anymore?
There are songs in my repertoire that I don't play anymore, not because I'm not into the lyrics or what I was saying then, because it's still, a song is a snapshot of who you are at that moment that you write that tune, unless you're one of those like songwriters that's making like billions of dollars doing the secret songwriting thing, in which case it's all bullshit anyway, and they're not writing mean. I'm not one of those people. For me, it's just that I just can't remember the goddamn lyrics. And that's my problem. So if there's a song that I'm not playing from my repertoire, it's either A, because it requires more than one guitar to actually work, or B, which is usually the right answer, I can't remember the words.
Next song, you ready?
Let's go for it.
Long the Chicks.
What a good song. What a great, great, great song, actually. And I didn't get into them until I saw the documentary Shut Up and Sing. Like, everybody knew Goodbye Earl because it was this big radio hit. But I watched that documentary, and what I hate about ignorant people, that movie really like shines a big light on it. Like, oh no, you done said something about that there president that we lack. You shouldn't be talking about the president unless he's a Democrat. And that's my problem with that, is that there's a double standard to the thought process, which is why this album, Taking the Long Way, got written in the first place, because country music fans were like, you don't done say that there about that's our president. You don't do that. And it's like, actually, yeah. I had to explain to somebody one day, I'm like, actually, yeah, you kind of can. That's like one of the bonuses of living in this country, is that if you don't agree with your president, you can speak out against him. Well, you're not supposed to do it during wartime. where the hell did you get that from? And so it was just anything that they wanted to say, just keep the narrative going. But meanwhile, a couple of years later, you got a Democrat in office and they're just talking all the shit in the world. It's like, you can't shun somebody for this on one side and then, oh, I don't like this guy, so you can talk all the shit you want. So the chicks aren't allowed to just say something as simple as, we're ashamed that this man is from Texas. That's all they said.
Yeah.
And it exploded into the most bullshit thing. Yet, you know, hillbilly Ted Nugent, who isn't a real hunter, he goes into controlled wildlife. So he imports all of his animals. He's not a real hunter. He's a pussy. And Ted, I respect you as a musician and a guitar player, but as a human being, you got your head up your ass. So he can come out there and he can talk all the shit in the world about Democrats. So where's the middle ground? Whatever happened to the middle ground in this country? Yeah. It's like, and I don't get political, so I feel I've gotten too political already. But what happened to the Chicks? It's so weird saying the Chicks and not the Dixie.
I know. I was going to ask you, what do you think about them changing their name?
I mean, isn't Chicks derogatory? Like, not derogatory. I mean, Dixie, I get it. I get where they're coming from.
I don't think that their name was meant the way that it was.
No, it wasn't. No.
So I would have stood up and kept my name. That's me, though. I would have been like, fuck you. This is my name of my band. I'm not.
I think it was their choice, though. Maybe. I think they decided to do that. Yeah. But so you get to even the first lyric of that song, my friends from high school, marry their high school boy. Like, these people stayed in the same place and didn't, like, it's like when I'm talking about gigging sometimes, like, I don't want to play at Joe's Corner Bar where the locals who never got out of town are still going there bitching about how they have no money, yet they've got enough money for their cigarettes and booze, but they can't pay their fucking electric bill. So the ignorance that surrounds just that album existing annoys the shit out of me. But I'm glad for that ignorance and those double standards existing, because I got that album in my life because I watched this documentary and, like, they were even like, you know, it's not a country album. It's not a country rock album. It's got its roots in it, but it's just like, hey, you stupid, ignorant people put us through some shit. You threatened our lives. You just destroyed our lives. You tried to fuck with our livelihood. Fuck you. And then a lot of these songs are saying that exact thing. Like, who are you? Like, why is it okay for you to say this? Why is it okay? Especially, you know, when you talk about the Bible Belt, like, cool, adultery, that's not a problem, you know. Oh,
we can spend all day on that kind of shit.
You know, and I'm getting political, and I don't want to. Part of me was concerned about putting that song on this list, but I love that song, so I'm glad I put it on the list.
And I appreciate it. So, you have any tattoos?
I do not, because I know if I get one, I'll get 2, I'll get 3, I'll get 4. And how I mentioned, like, you know, Joe's Corner Bar with, you know, like Dudley Dipshit, who never, like, got out of town, that can afford his cigarettes and not his beer. He gets a tattoo, and then he gets another tattoo, and then he gets another tattoo, and then all of a sudden it just looks mismatched and misplaced, and it's just there for the sake of being there. And I don't want to look like Dudley Dipshit at the corner bar.
Hey, we don't want you to either.
No,
right.
I'm happy with Sean.
Me too. I like Sean too.
Thank you. Me too. And I like you.
Sean, your next song. So, great song, Believe by Dig.
Oh, I love that song. I can't believe that band never went any further.
Why?
Or maybe they did. Huh?
Why do you think they didn't?
I don't know. I mean, they came out, this song, I believe, was 1994. So it was right on the cusp of everything still kind of changing and going back to everybody just taking things seriously and wearing polo shirts on stage and bland, neutral colors and just singing about love and shit like that. But meanwhile, I loved hair metal, and I loved when grunge came along because there was this big thing happening. I loved MTV at the time because everybody was included. You didn't have to have everything. It wasn't just like rap for an hour and metal for an hour. Like, they had Yo MTV Raps and they had Headbangers Ball, but throughout the day, before it got taken over by reality scripted TV, it was just a party for everybody. Everybody was invited. And you had stuff like this coming on randomly. So like you would get the, Technotronic, and you would get, now I got Pump Up the Jam in my head. It's not even Technotronic. This beat is Technotronic. Snap, you'd get all that stuff coming on, and then you get like some Bon Jovi, or then you get some Slaughter, or you get some Queensryche, and then you get Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and everybody. It was just a big melting pot. And all of a sudden, like the hair stuff kind of got out, the grunge came in, and there was this huge scene. And then the song "Believe" came on one night. I was like, "Ooh, what is this?" And just if you listen, just the textures, it's simple but not, and it just says so much without really saying a lot at the same time. But just for some reason, I just always find myself going back to that tune. Like, what is it about this tune? Why do I love this tune so much? And to this day, I cannot tell you why. But because I'm me and I like a good pun, I do really dig it.
You have a favorite soundtrack to a movie?
Oh, that's so unfair, but it would probably have to be E.T.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a film score nerd. Are you talking with like songs, or are you talking like just anything?
No, I think you nailed it right on the hammer.
Right on.
What about your favorite or your first vinyl or first tape?
First vinyl I ever bought on my own was the soundtrack to The Black Hole by John Barry. I told you I'm a nerd. But I think I bought that and the Flash Gordon soundtrack from Queen the same day.
So did you work for the money and you were excited, went to the record store? Tell me about the story.
I work hard for my money, so they better treat me right. I was like 6, so I'm guessing it was like Christmas money or birthday money or something like that. So I'm trying to think, in 81, 82, I'm 6 or 7.
So were you excited going into did you know exactly what albums you were going to buy? Or
hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I was into film scores for so long. I didn't really get into rock for a long time. I think like I've been listening to Madonna longer than any rock band I've ever been into, and I know we're going to get to her at some point in a fun way. But I don't think it was until Floyd came along that I was like, I need this rock album. I love this band. And then
You're
just from there,
obsessed with Pink Floyd, are you not? You're a big Pink Floyd fan?
I don't know if obsessed is the word as much as obsessed would be the word.
Like your artwork is a little Pink Floyd-y.
I've got nothing to do with that. I think this is more like 70s, like a Roger Dean Yes album cover, just modernized with like steampunk rocket ships.
Salvatore Dali a little bit too.
Oh, I've never met him. What's he like? Well, I mean, yeah, I know he is. But he's the guy with the melted clocks in that there desert on the cacti.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
He's my favorite. I love him. His stuff is really cool. I like it.
Very cool.
Do you remember your first concert you ever been to?
Victor Borg at the Garden State Arts Center. Yeah.
Did you go with friends, family?
Oh, I was 10 or 11, so I was with my parents. No, my first rock concert was Tesla on the Psychotic Supper tour with Firehouse opening. And then my second concert was Tesla on the Psychotic Supper tour with Firehouse opening a few months later. And it was general admission. So I was right up front, like, yes.
I miss those days.
Tesla, they're still awesome. I saw them a couple of years ago. They still have it.
Really?
Oh, they still
bring seen Tesla. I've always wanted,
do it.
Like I've never I don't know. I'm sure they traveled to Canada, but I never even heard of them coming.
Oh, do it. If Tesla makes their way up to the Great White North, you go and you see them. Is that rude of me to say the Great White North?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I know Getty sang that song with Bob and Doug McKenzie, Take Off. And I think because you're Canadian, all I have to say is Getty, and you know exactly who I'm speaking of. Is this correct?
I'm not going to tell you the Canadian secrets today.
Well, okay, so I'm going to pretend that I know all there is to know about Canada, and I'm going to say the Tea Party and Econoline Crush.
Oh, like the reincarnated Jim Morrison into the lead singer of the Tea Party, that guy?
Well, I mean, it's the lead. Okay, if we go before transmission, it's a reincarnated Jim Morrison singing for Led Zeppelin.
That's true.
Edges of Twilight, they kind of got a little not as Zeppelin, at least for the first song. But yeah, then.
When you think of, guys dancing on stage, shaking their hips, who's your, I'll give you a couple guys to think of. Who do you think did it better? Elvis, Robert Plant, Jesus, why am I drawing a blank right now?
When you say it, I'll tell you though. When you say Mick Jagger, I'll tell you
Mick
yes.
Jagger. Jeez, why am I at a blank there? Out of those three guys.
Mick Jagger.
Yeah. You think Mick Jagger?
Absolutely. I saw Mick Jagger for the first time live a couple years ago. And man, that guy brings it. And I used to say that Bruce Dickinson was the best frontman of all time.
Nice.
And then I saw the Stones for the first time. And I was like, oh man, like Mick, I think Bruce has he's got some competition here. And then 2 days later, I saw Iron Maiden. And I was like, oh, wow, like these two are the best frontmen ever. With like Roger Waters not so far behind, not because I'm a Floyd freak, but just because he puts on a hell of a show. Yeah. But as far as swinging his hips, definitely Mick. Definitely Mick. Absolutely.
All right, next song.
Day is slowing down.
Breathe. Mikey Mason.
Mikey Mason, my hetero life mate. What a beautiful ode to depression. It's or just any kind of like, you're not feeling so great about yourself. There's that line, there's this moment just before you fall asleep where the world is lit by countless fallen stars. And you see through the lenses of the failures that you keep instead of seeing yourself for who you really are. I paraphrase the end. And what a beautiful message that this whole song says, like, just no matter how crappy you're feeling, no matter how deep and dark it gets, just breathe, just take a breath. I do have to call out the amazing string keyboard work on this song, but only because it's me. But Mikey sent me that song to play some keys on, and it had no lyrics yet. And it was called Breathe. So I was like, I'm going to take a Floydy approach and breathe. It's Floyd.
Yeah.
You know what? You're making me sound obsessed. I'm really not that obsessed, but you did this.
Hey, you're doing it all yourself.
But I was kind of like, I'm gonna approach it that way. Nice, slow. Let the music breathe. Let everything breathe. So the first time I heard it, when it was finally mixed with lyrics, I was floored just by how beautiful just the message of the lyrics was. And it might be my favorite Mikey Mason tune of all. He's known for he writes a lot of comedy stuff, but he also writes a lot of serious stuff. Mm-hmm. He's known best of all for She Don't Like Firefly. A lot of the cast of Firefly had made his video for that kind of blow up for a while there. And he
inspires you to write.
What inspires me to write?
Yeah.
It could be anything. Yeah. I haven't written a lyric in years just because I felt for a while there I'd run out of things to say. But now I'm in a good place. I had a crappy beginning to my year where I was in a very deep, dark hole. And it took a long time and a lot of hard work and a lot of just positive thinking to get out of it. And so now where I'm at now is like, I've kind of embraced the anger again, where I'm not angry, but if I think of something that makes me angry, I find the positive first, but then I think, all right, how do I destroy this thing that makes me angry? So if it's a person, yes, I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to metaphorically, of course. And so what inspires me now is, why would I let this stupid shit bother me? Life happens once. So why dwell on the past? Why dwell on, somebody didn't buy a ticket to my show 7 years ago and then they wanted me to go to theirs. Yes, it pisses me off when people act like that. But at the same time, life goes on. Yeah. And there's so much more to life than just you illegally downloaded my song because you're too cheap to spend $1 on it. As much as that might frustrate me, and I will always be vocal about it, I'd rather be happy. and focus on the positive. So it's almost, I've always referred to my writing as bleeding on paper, because it gets the demons out.
Yeah.
But anger is that demon I kind of want to hold on to. I like my anger. I'm comfortable with my anger, and we know each other really well.
That's good. Is there a favorite type of audience you like to play for?
Intimate. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I should have said large, because I mean, any musician that you'll ever speak to, if they say that they don't love playing to a large crowd, they're lying to you.
Oh, for sure.
They're in the wrong business. Like, of course, you know, not everybody wants to set out and play Madison Square Garden, but nobody's going to turn down Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like a good intimate. I'd rather like play for like, say, 50 to 150, maybe 300 people.
So why
in a smaller venue?
What's the difference? Connection?
It's the rainbow connection, but it's just, there's the connection, like you said, but there's also just, I don't have to stress as much, and I can hear myself, which is really important when you're playing, is to be able to hear yourself, but also just those people are actually there to hear me, as opposed to, this is the cool thing to go to. Everybody's going to it. I need to go to it. Like that kind of mindset. But when I'm playing to groups of 300 or more, I'll be sure to let you know, because I'll be like, yes, knock on wood. Yes.
I'll bring a sign. All right. Speaking of your obsession, we're going to play one of the.
Oh, see, that's all you need is that B over the C sharp.
Yeah. All you need is Pink Floyd.
I don't think that's the phrase you're looking for. Isn't it love? All you need is love?
No, we're changing it.
Okay, cool. All you need is Floyd.
All we need is Floyd.
All you need is Floyd. Echoes. Echoes. What can I tell you about Echoes? It's my favorite song by my favorite.
Yeah?
Oh my God. I love this song. And that's not even like enveloping it enough. My passion for Echoes is so weird. And I remember the first time I really, really got into it, I was just mellowing out. I mean, I probably had the album for years, but I didn't like really fully delve into it till I was like 19 or 20. So I was having some Mother Nature, and I was just chilling out. And then there's that weird middle section that's just like noisy and atmospheric. I'm like, oh, neat. And then it goes in that like this little climb. I've always called it the orgasm section, because there's this buildup and there's this buildup. There's some organ and string work going on. And then it just explodes into this. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, holy shit. Like, first of all, I thought I was like getting busted for being high. But then it's like, it's just this huge like explosion of just texture and like melody coming out of this really tense but moving and flowing buildup. And just, I've always loved that part. I've always loved that song, like tons and tons and tons of lots. In 2014, my guitar player, Robert Fulton, that I was playing with live at the time, calls me up one day. He's like, hey, man, every now and then an opportunity comes along that you kind of got to take. He's like, I know right now at this point in your life, you're not in playing keys, but Dean Ween just posted on Facebook that he's looking for a keyboard player. I don't know what it's for. All he said was must love Floyd and must like Rick Wakeman. I'm like, whatever. Diener calls me and he's like, hey man, I got the show coming up in a couple of weeks. The band is called Echoes, and all we do is play Echoes by Pink Floyd. And I listened to his voicemail like, oh my God, is that all you need me to do? And I did the most professional thing I could to a person who's like done a shit ton more touring than I have. I sent them a text message. And this is back in the day of a flip phone text message where I was like, hey man, I'm in a lesson right now. I can't be bothered. No, I didn't say that. That's a dick move. But I was like, hey man, I'm in a lesson and you just said like my favorite song by my favorite band. I'm in. Like, I'm not even auditioning. I'm just fucking in. And I called him up after I was done teaching because I was heading into a lesson when Fulton called me. And Echoes Echoes, Dean Ween's Echoes. It's Dean Ween of the band Ween, and some dudes from Weens, some dudes from New Hope, PA, and then me from Northern New Jersey. Echoes. And it was just kind of like, wait, I get to play this song live, like with a full band on keys. This is like, it's like a dream gig.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
a lot of work went in, like not a lot of work went into it, because it's like, you know, Floyd is in my DNA. So if there's like something I don't know, I can like look at a chord chart really, really quick and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. All right. But Echoes just, it's its own little space rock opera. So
it's a great way to describe it. Is there anybody that you've worked with that you couldn't believe that you were working with?
Definitely Diener from Dean Ween, from Ween. I was just like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm playing this cool gig with this dude, and like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah,
I've done a lot of random stuff with a lot of random people. I remember one time when I was in that Bon Jovi tribute to the Room Wet, Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern show introduced us, and then stayed on stage. He was so wasted, he just stayed on stage and like was just dancing with the singer and the guitar player for like the first 3 or 4 songs. I'm trying to think of who else I've worked with. I've shared bills with, when I was in Sliver and Wet, Jack Frost, who was in Frostbite. He was in Sabotage for their last album. I think he did some Trans-Siberian Orchestra gigs. He was in another band that we were playing with, so like we would share bills pretty often. I know I'm forgetting people, and I know the second that this is like
they'll reach out after they hear the show, and they'll be like, "I can't believe you didn't mention me."
You know what? They're probably just like, "Oh, Sean, I haven't talked to him in years. Fuck him."
So, did you have a teen crush on anybody who was a singer, or somebody in a band? Can be a guy too. Like if you had a male teen crush.
You know what I realized, and I'm always Madonna. It was always Madonna. But I realized, and I say quite often, like, I'm surprised that I'm hetero completely, because I love Madonna, I love musicals, and I love Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
So like, these are 3 things that are like, and I hope I'm not offending anybody who isn't hetero by like all of a sudden stereotyping you, but come on, it's Madonna. I mean, need I say more? Musicals, I mean, that can be 50-50.
Like if you were blindfolded and you said those 3 things and you couldn't say you were straight or gay and we had to guess, we would probably say.
You would probably assume that I was a homosexual, absolutely. and that's fine. I've got no problem with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
My being an ally for years has made me an honorary homosexual. It's just that I don't enjoy doing some of the things that they do, which is okay. So I'm more of a lesbian.
Are you married?
I am.
Okay, so does she love that you love musicals?
No, no. She enjoys musicals, but not the ones that I do.
Oh.
So as we're coming to, I see.
When you guys first met, and obviously you guys were getting to know each other and sharing time together in movies and all this stuff, was there a movie that you were like so excited to share with her on the musical side of things?
Oh, maybe Hair.
Yeah, and was she like, what?
Yeah.
You know, was she musicals very much, or did you kind of open that side of her up?
Oh no, she's also a musician. So she actually taught me a lot of the stuff that I teach these days.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. So absolutely. How did you guys meet?
An ex-girlfriend of mine hooked us up, and I'm friends with all of my exes.
Oh,
because I hate that phrase, like an ex is an ex for a reason. Yeah, if you don't grow up and move on. Yeah. But sometimes an ex is an ex for a reason. I can completely understand that there are situations, but for me, it's just, oh shit, it didn't work out. It doesn't mean that I automatically have to hate you.
Yeah.
It didn't work out on a romantic level, and that's fine. And my ex that introduced us is one of my best friends. And then when we got married, she was the maid of honor. And I tried to get my ex-fiance to be the best man, because there would have been a really, funny little joke. But I mean, my ex-fiance saw right through that. I was like, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. That's like, grow up. I mean, it would have been funny, but anyway, yeah. But yeah, actually, it was the second gig with Slippery When Wet, and at the same time, I was in a band called the Rodamania, which was a Dream Theater tribute.
Yeah.
And she was very into Steve Vai and stuff like that. So like, there's that musicianship thing going on too.
So what attracted her to you right away?
I'm Sean Faust.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I really don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe, you know, I was, you know, the musician dude. I don't know. I'm one of those. I'm weird. I don't know. I just. I stopped asking questions like that. I don't know, years ago. I wish I could give you an answer, but now it's like, something romantic. But I've got nothing.
You got nothing. We'll bury it with the next song here.
Cool.
What an interesting song. Eve.
Yeah. I love this song. Now, funny enough, the first time I heard this song was on Dawson's Creek.
No.
Yep. It's not on the DVDs because the way music licensing went years ago, nobody ever expected people to be buying TV shows and watching them at home if they're not on television. So music licensing was really weird. And when that first season came out, a lot of the artists were like, whoa, hold up. Where's my cut of that? And it's not greed. It's, you know, would you let somebody use your work to make some kind of profit when they're not sharing it with you, even though some of your work is there? No, nobody would do that. Yeah. So by the time season 2 through 6 were released, they replaced, I'd say 80% of the songs with artists that were like not heard of, so they could get a cheaper deal. Meanwhile, though, you've got like bands like Blues Traveler and Fish going, oh, leave it on. I don't give a shit. And then, but there were other, I don't want to name artists, but like there's one song I remember being huge and it had a huge impact on a scene in Dawson's Creek. And for some reason, they wanted too much money for it. I'm like, what the hell? You're a one-hit wonder. Who the hell are you? So Eve, I don't know what Chantal's thing is with them because other songs of hers were on the DVDs. Maybe this song, for whatever reason, just didn't make it through. But musically, just you hear it.
It's beautiful. It's a really nice song.
It's suspenseful and beautiful.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, where are we going with this? And when it kicks in at the end, that vocal is just ginormous. And lyrically, it really takes you into like that headspace of like, oh man, like what is happening to Eve? Like, and who was Eve? Was Eve somebody? I don't know the story, so I don't know. Was Eve lost during a pregnancy? Was Eve? Did she die at birth? Like, who's Eve? But you know, but she's gonna know Perfect Life. I'm sorry.
What do you feel is the best song that you've released so far?
The best song I've released so far, Gin Asylum.
Yeah. So why?
Gin Asylum. I love sarcasm. And that song oozes. The leading cause of death is life. No shit. But I'm so happy with how it opened up. Like, stop the press. We're all gonna die. We are. So it's all these things that Robert Fulton co-wrote the lyrics with me, and he wrote some of my favorite lines in that song, which is another reason why it's just my favorite release. It's stop taking like these small, insignificant things so seriously. Think of ourselves and like how vast the universe is and how long the universe has existed. What the hell? Like, we are insignificant. We're significant to ourselves because, you know, George Carlin had that bit about the sanctity of life. Why do we give a shit about it? Because we're alive. Dead people don't give a shit about the sanctity of life. You know, what have you heard from Abbott and Costello recently or JFK? Nothing. Why? Because they're dead, and sanctity of life means nothing to them. And you think of like the lyrics of Gin Asylum. The leading cause of death is life. Yeah. We're going to die. Live. And stop taking these little things so seriously. And there are people out there that want to be offended, just to be offended, to speak out against something. For the longest time, it was like, oh, we're offended about this week, and we're offended about this week. Oh man, nothing offended us this week. Did you see that 1974 Playboy interview with John Wayne? What an asshole. We're offended by this. Why? Why do we have to go to the past and be offended by somebody who's dead?
Yeah, I agree.
It makes no sense to me. So sweating the small stuff, it's just such a waste of time. And after I've gone through this ordeal that I have this year, like that song resonates with me even more now because I was just so bound to this stupid idea, which was nothing more than the straw that broke the camel's back anyway. And the more I think about life, the more I'm going to live it because, yeah, I'm going to die one day. But
so were you going through a massive depression?
Oh, yeah, it was huge. It was very huge. I was on antidepressants for the first time. I'm in therapy from it. And I just weaned off the antidepressants. I'm 4 days totally done with it after weaning for about 2 months, I think. And therapy, everybody should be in therapy. It's great. And I have no problem. So I could talk about that for,
Was there things that kind of led to that? Like when you look back now?
I look back now and I think, I was going to say ad nauseum for the fourth time. I look back now and it's just, once again, kind of like the song, just insignificant.
Yeah.
The straw that broke the camel's back, looking back on it, insignificant. What that straw is now is even more insignificant, if that's possible. So, but I mean, like, I work in animal rescue. It's a very emotionally challenging job at times. The compassion fatigue is real. So you put that on top of somebody who, like, I haven't had a drink in 9 months, so that's a good thing. But anxiety, depression, and, getting drunk on a Saturday night, and then compassion fatigue, plus like some minor trauma, that's a shitty cocktail.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to live, let the leading cause of death be life. Cool. Great.
Do you feel a lot people use mental illness as an excuse for things?
That's such a touchy subject. Yes, some people just want to be like, well, sometimes they use it to get away with shitty behavior, but like, why? You didn't like it when somebody behaved towards you like that, so why would you take that out on the next person? And that's even a thing. When I was a teenager, you date somebody like, oh, they treated me so horribly, and they just pass it on to the next person that they date. Like, why? That's not fair to the person that you're dating. They're not the person that you dated. So sometimes people will use it as an excuse, and sometimes people just can't help it. Mm-hmm. So there are people out there that are like, the second they get a label, oh, hey, you're this. Well, everything about that label becomes them. And they're just like, well, no, I do this because of this label. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you're just letting the label define you instead of defining yourself. You should define you. And if you have whatever label, like, I'm depressed. No, I'm not. Do I seem like I'm depressed right now? No, because I'm not depressed right now. I'm not going to let this diagnosis ruin me. Not that depression ruins you, but for me, I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to stay in that good mood.
Yeah. People love that label, and it is a way to get away with certain things, right?
That's a shitty thing to do.
And I feel like life is hard. Get a fucking helmet, right? Like, generally life is hard. So sometimes I feel if somebody's sharing something like that, I'll be like, that's just life, and it's just hard.
Yeah.
I don't really think that you should be using that type of label to describe what you're going through, just because it's really easy for you to get a label. And then you feel that I should be more compassionate because now you have this label. I don't know. I can always read people very well where I'm like, nah, I'm not buying into that. So I don't want to say fix it, but I'll like start asking questions like, so what's going on, and what about if you tried this? And if it's constant roadblocks, then I know it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. And it's also a lot of people, they don't want to compromise. So they want to be like, you should treat me differently because I'm going through this, but I'm going to still treat you like shit because I'm going through this. And it's right. What an asshole way to live. So yes, but the people that use that as an excuse 9 to 10 times, they got over it a long, long time ago, but they saw how much shit they got away with, or they're jealous that they saw other people have more compassion shown towards them, that they're like, well, I didn't get that much compassion, so I want to get that. I want to get that. So I'm going to act like this now so people still come to me. They're attention whore. is the phrase to use for those people. But yeah, people like that, you don't need them in your life. You don't need them in your life. She's also saying I'm full of shit, folks. No, she's not. No, you're not. No, you're
All right, next song. I love it.
You got the.
I literally have
Yeah.
I have not heard that song for so long, right? Stan Bush.
Stan Bush. Now, you'll notice that I put Stan Bush and Dirk Diggler. Because I was the nerd. I had that soundtrack on cassette and probably played the shit out of it as a kid. So I know that. And I remember the first time I saw that show Glow on Netflix, when Dare showed up during a training montage, I'm like, what the fuck? That's from Transformers. But I remember the first time I saw Boogie Nights, and I'm like, man, this movie's like really dark and funny and just all over the place. And then Dirk Diggler's in the recording studio, and I was like, holy fuck. He's singing The Touch from the Transformers movie. And I was singing along, and like my buddy was looking at me like, this is a real song? Like this isn't made up for the movie? When you think 80s, and now I'm not talking like when you think 80s like Living on a Prayer or Here I Go Again or whatever else has been overplayed ad nauseum, you just think that sounds exactly like the 80s. That sounds 1,000,000% 80s.
Yeah.
And it's got the keyboard sound. It's got that you gotta. I hate songs that tell me what to do. Who the fuck are you? You don't know me. You don't know what I have to do.
I'm not going to raise my hand. What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, I never walk, I never run. How do I get anywhere, Stan? Like, after all is said and done, am I an invalid? So you never walk, you never run. You're a winner. Cool. Neat. I guess he's saying I never walk or run away from a bad situation. Cool. Thanks, Stan.
Thanks.
Well, it's one of those songs that just says, "Hey," and I think Vince DiCola is also on that track. If I'm correct, I might not be, but Vince DiCola scored the movie, and everybody mostly knows him for "Hearts on Fire" from the other montage movie, Rocky IV. If you took all the montages out of that movie, it's a 25-minute movie. But God damn it. The Touch by Stan Bush is, you think 80s, and you're just like, okay, you got Could Have Been by Tiffany. You've got I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany, which is one of my favorite keyboard solos of all time. And you've got The Touch by Stan Bush that's just like, you gotta, don't, it's fine. I don't like being told what to do, but sometimes when a song is just saying what I've got, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So if you could think of any song in the world that you wish you had written, what song would it have been?
Oh, God, The Touch. Ray of Light.
Oh, really?
Ray of Light by Madonna. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. But I'm going to take that back because what it really is All Night Long by Lionel Richie. It's All Night Long by Lionel Richie.
What about if you could be any singer for a day? Who would you be?
Oh, man. I'm going to try to stay as PG as possible, so I'm not going to say Madonna. Well, that's Zach Stevens from Sabotage. He was the second singer in Sabotage, circa 93. And then I think he was in Trans-Siberian Orchestra for a while. I just listened to a Sabotage record before we started this recording, so it's on the top of my head, but he's also one of my favorite singers of all time. So it's another thing like, I don't want to be James Hetfield because what's my crowd like that night? Are they ripping up stadium seats because my arm exploded? So
how many tattoos do these guys have?
I'm trying to think, how many tattoos does Zach Stevens have? Let's find out.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach. Hey, man. How many tattoos? No, you don't. Sean, you don't know me. No, we've never. No. Oh, God. He told me to fuck off. I don't know how many tattoos Zach Stevens has. I'm sorry. But I'm sure he has tattoos. I'm pretty sure I've seen them. What's that? I want to talk to you a second. Dr. Faust is in the house. You seem to like tattoos. Where does this stem from? How many tattoos do you have?
I have none. I have no tattoos. And my daughter has a leg sleeve and my son has an arm sleeve. So the question is, where the fuck did they get these ideas of tattoos?
Who do they listen to? I bet you it's the Backstreet Boys and the New Kids on the Block.
No, my daughter is more screamo metal. And my son is like psychotic on working out. So whatever that kind of crazy
that could be anything, because it could be death metal. It could be.
I don't think it's like trance or anything like that. I think it would be some form of metal. We always try to get them to share. We play this game when everybody's around. We'll just spin the Spotify around and everybody's got to pick their song and put it in a queue. And we'll do like a couple hours and then we get to learn their music. Our kids know most of our music, but because we listen to everything, this gives them a chance to be a part of that. And it's amazing to watch kids these days. Our kids are 25 and 27, but even, we had a bunch of kids over here for Thanksgiving and how embarrassed they were to share their music. And we're all like, no, put it on. Let's play this game. It's good. So after probably about 2 hours, they slowly started, hey, Annette, can I put a song on? And I was just like, yeah, let's hear it. But it's crazy. I never was like that. I was always like super up, like in your face with music. I've always been like that. Oh, that's a nice song. Hey, Kate, let's play this song.
Right on.
I never was like nervous about my taste in music. It was weird to watch.
No, it's a cool thing that you say it like that, though, because you think of the phrase guilty pleasure, like, but that when you think of guilty pleasures, you're thinking of like, I give a shit what somebody else thinks about what makes me happy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist. So when you're like, I'm upfront about my taste in music, listen to the like complete like spectrum of music that I've mentioned just in 45 minutes. Who cares? Who cares?
I know. It was just
like,
weird to experience. I've never seen that. I've never experienced that ever in my life. And I was just like, oh, is this kind of like the new generation that's coming up where they're so, first of all, they need a label, right? They all seem to need a label. And then secondly, they're just so nervous to share things that they like. That's awful.
What are their peers like that they would feel that way?
Yeah, amazing people. They are completely like me, love music, share everything. Like, it's so bizarre.
How bizarre. How bizarre.
Yeah, very bizarre. All right. Want to talk about bizarre? Here we go.
This is the end, beautiful friend.
Jeez, I love the Doors. I loved Jim Morrison.
I still do.
Yeah.
Still do. God damn it. That song. That was the first time that I think I noticed the word fuck in a song, because I was introduced to it from the movie. So I'm 15 years old. I'm at the movies. I'm like, oh man, this is like really like you're feel like one good thing Oliver Stone did with that film is like you felt like you were part of the audience whenever there was a live performance. And the end, like that whole spoken word section, I was like, man, you can do this with music? This is awesome. Like, and then he's like, the killer woke before dawn, put some shoes on because, like the floor was cold. Of course. Yeah, you need to put some shoes on because, and why do I need to know he woke up before dawn? Like maybe that's like, he wants to go bird watching or something. Pardon me. It's allergy season in New Jersey. But then it gets pretty edible and I was really into that. But anytime I go to that song, like when it gets heavy into that, like, big jam at the end, that whole jazzy, like little freak out that it is, that psychedelic
tambourines.
Like, oh my God. Oh, well, that's when he's lost in a Roman wilderness of pain. That's where the children are insane. And he's on the blue bus because it's calling him. But just that intro that you played, like that just grabs you immediately. Like, I don't know where this ride is going, but I'm taking it. And I'm in for like the 11 and a half minutes of bliss that song is.
Yeah, I agree. Think how much we could sell Jim Morrison's leather pants for.
Oh, I hope they were washed because that could stink pretty bad.
Yeah. We're on your last song. I can't believe it. Hopefully it's okay to pick this one.
Okay.
All right, Madonna, probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or if you think differently. One of the only singers that I've seen start in the 80s and be able to manipulate her music all the way to now. And I seen her the other day on Jimmy Fallon or something that she was on. I didn't even know it was fucking her. I was like, who is this lady? I didn't even recognize her at all. Like, completely at all. She's still like a 17-year-old dressing like what she did in like in Virgin to like, how old is she now? Like 70?
No, she's not 70 yet. But I got a feeling that because of her health, she'll make it. But like she said so eloquently about 20 years ago, music makes the people come together. Yeah. But the reason I chose this particular song, now Madonna, I've got to look up Madonna now, because now you got me. She looks great for her age. Talking about like, yeah.
Look like Madonna anymore.
I mean, you know, I don't know if she's had work done or she's, I mean.
I think she's had something to her face done.
19.
She's 82.
58. She is not 82. She's 64. So I will still need her. I will still feed her when she's 64. I love James Bond movies. I love the songs of James Bond movies. I found out one day that Madonna is doing the theme song for the next James Bond movie. Holy Christ, this is going to be awesome. This is the worst James Bond theme song ever. This is one of the worst Madonna songs ever. This song is absolute hot, lazy garbage. I hate speaking ill of the Queen, but there's still something about it when I hear it, I'm like, yeah, it's Madonna. I like this song. But I don't. That's called not health.
The love-hate relationship.
It's Stockholm syndrome. Now,
yeah.
Well, you even said it before. Well, because I love Bond. You cannot pay me to watch that Bond movie. You could pay me to watch that Bond movie. Now I think about it. It's just a terrible movie, but I'll be making a few bucks for a couple hours of my time. So anybody who wants to pay me to watch Die Another Day, please, I'll take your money. I've got a couple hours to do that. That song, though, it has nothing at all to do with James Bond. It's got a good beat and I could dance to it, but I just don't find it to be so Madonna.
Yeah.
You said earlier too how she's managed to stay. Here's why she's managed to stay. And like if you think about it, like you'll see how the landscape changes. Madonna keeps reinventing herself each album. But she's also reinventing what pop music is doing at the same time that she's reinventing herself. Look at Born This Way. Born This Way is express yourself.
Yeah.
I saw Madonna twice. The first time I saw her was on the MDNA tour, and she did Express Yourself, and at the end did the chorus for Born This Way. And she even said, I don't hate Lady Gaga. I'd love to work with Lady Gaga. But the first time I heard Born This Way, I was like, oh man, I love this song. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, what the hell is this? What am I listening to? What? This isn't Madonna. Who is this? Who is this? And I remember Gaga's first tune. It reminded me of Send Me an Angel from whatever that band is from Rad. The Madonna always reinventing herself. Then you get to Ray of Light and she reinvents it again. Then you get some music where she reinvents dance and she embraces what's going on in dance. She embraces what's going on in the underground, like techno clubs and the hip hop clubs. And she brings that into her music and then reinvents herself again. She's always been reinventing herself and almost changing the landscape. And until Pink and Gaga came along, there was nobody else doing that. And thank God we've got Pink. I mean, you look at Truth About Love, that's one of the best albums of the past 20 years. It's a perfect album. Every song that's a hit, even the ones that weren't hits, like Are We All We Are? Talk about a great way to kick off an album. I knew I would go ADD the second I heard Die Another Day. I don't want to talk shit about Madonna. I'm an honorary homosexual, and it's illegal and sacrilege for me to speak shit about Madonna. It is.
No, she's incredible, right? I loved growing up and listening to Madonna and just that whole era in the 80s. And she just kind of really opened up how women could just do whatever they wanted to do because Madonna was doing it, so we can do it. And it was just really cool that she kind of started to pave the way that way, right?
Express yourself. Don't repress yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much, Sean, for joining us on Music
Thank
Junkie.
you.
Before I let you go, I have a couple things. I would love for you to share with our listeners where we can stalk you. So take your time, find your albums, Instagram, your home address, whatever you can share.
Well, if you're going to stalk me, the best way to start is my home address. I live at 13 in New Jersey. I've got a link tree. So, Linktree/Sean Faust Music. And also, I really want to push this album behind me, or wherever it is in the
It's behind
ether.
you.
It's somewhere. Right now, I'm very cold, or I'm warm. Anyway, this is the album Land by Money for the Toll. It's just straight ahead progressive rock. So I guess it's not straight ahead. It's progressive rock. All these songs were written from 97 to 2001. The bass player and I'll make this quick. Bass player and I decided these songs after we broke up, like they still need a good recording. So it took us a long time. It's a passion project. And it's probably the album I'm most proud of releasing. So Linktree/Money for the Toll. Please check out Land if you like stuff like Pink Floyd, of course, Rush, Yes, Porcupine Tree, Dream Theater, Genesis, Marillion. This is right up your alley. And if you want stuff that's like 70s Yes meets Believe by Dig, Linktree/Sean Faust Music.
Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe and stalk Sean. Awesome. Thank you so much again. And can you leave us with some words of wisdom, Sean?
I wish I had something to say, but I don't.
Just like that. And he's out. Thanks for listening today. Hope you enjoyed the show. New episodes out every Monday. Please share with a friend and subscribe because you want to. And like me because you like me. Leave a comment so we can connect. And if you have a great playlist and you want to share, I'd love to have you on the show. Please reach out to me on Instagram at The Music Junkies Podcast.